This year, the Navy Midshipmen and Army Black Knights have made headlines as their football teams have had great seasons. Both ranked together at one point, the two rivals and their rivalry deserve a closer look. As one of the most unique and special traditions in all of sports, the Army-Navy game will be extra special this year. The first matchup between the two was on November 29th, 1890. For context, the president at the time was Benjamin Harrison. Incredibly, except for just 10 years, the academies have played annually and have played each other in every season since 1930, usually at the end of the season, the second Saturday in December, and often the last regular season game of Division I football that year. Previously, the game was played on the Saturday after Thanksgiving. The game has been played all over the place, most frequently in Philadelphia, due to its location being a roughly equal distance between the two academies. However, the New York area, Chicago, Baltimore, Washington area, Pasadena, California, home of the Rose Bowl, and most recently the Boston area, Foxborough specifically, have all been hosts of America's game. Since 1945, the game has been nationally televised every year by either ABC, CBS, or NBC. CBS has televised the game since 1996 and will continue to do so until 2028. And while it may lack national championship implications now, in the early half of the 20th century, the game had a lot of impact on the final results of the college football season. Both teams were among the best in the nation, making the game even more important. However, as college football became more competitive, it became more difficult for the two academies to compete, especially with strict admission requirements and height weight limits. In the past 50 years, both teams have entered the game with winning records just 4 times: 1996, 2010, 2016, and 2017. It will be 5 soon, with both Army and Navy at 6 wins or better. Navy leads the series between them 62-55, with 7 ties, with the Navy also leading Army for the Commander-in-Chief's trophy, awarded to the winner of a series of games between Army, Navy, and Air Force since 1972, with 16 wins for the Midshipmen compared to 10 for the Black Knights. However, Air Force leads both of them with 21. Army and Navy have strong but less intense rivalries with Air Force, at least compared to their own Army-Navy game matchup. This is partially because Air Force is younger, being established in 1954, and is farther away than the other two academies. The game doesn't usually feature many NFL draft prospects, but in a way that adds to the emotions and quality of the game. For seniors, it may be the last football game they ever play, unless their team is participating in a bowl game, of course. Some players from both Army and Navy have gone on to have successful NFL careers. This includes the Dallas Cowboys Hall of Fame quarterback, Roger Staubach, a 2-time Super Bowl champion with the franchise. Before the NFL, Staubach played college football for Navy, winning the 1963 Heisman Trophy with the Midshipmen. Alejandro Villanueva was a longtime offensive tackle in the NFL for the Pittsburgh Steelers and Baltimore Ravens. The 2-time Pro Bowler played college football for Army. 10 United States presidents have attended the Army-Navy game while in office since the start of the 20th century. Theodore Roosevelt was the first, attending the game in 1901 and later in 1905. Woodrow Wilson attended the game in 1913 and Calvin Coolidge in 1924. Harry Truman missed just 1 game during his 8 years in office from 1945 to 1952. John F. Kennedy attended games in 1961 and 1962. Gerald Ford watched Army and Navy play in 1974, and Bill Clinton watched the rivalry in 1996. In more recent years, George W. Bush attended the game 3 times during his presidency in 2001, 2004, and 2008. Barack Obama attended the Army-Navy game in 2011. Most recently, Donald Trump attended the game as president-elect in 2016 and attended 3 times as president in 2018, 2019, and 2020. In 2023, it was announced that Army would be joining Navy in the AAC, or American Athletic Conference, for the 2024 football season. Despite these changes, the Army-Navy game will still be an out-of-conference matchup for the schools. It will continue to be played annually. What the conference will change about the rivalry is that if the two teams have the best records within the AAC, they will compete against each other in the AAC championship game. This could lead to a consecutive Army-Navy games in the first weeks of December. So what are some of the most notable games played during this rivalry? In In 1893, Navy football player and later Admiral Joseph Mason Reeves wore what is believed to be the first football helmet. In 1926, the two met in Chicago, with Navy being undefeated and Army's only loss being to Notre Dame. In front of a crowd of 100,000 people, they tied 21-21. In both 1944 and 1945, Army and Navy entered the game ranked number 1 and number 2. In 1945, Army defeated a Navy team who only tied with, you guessed it, Notre Dame, 32-13. Following the assassination of John F. Kennedy in 1963, the Academy considered canceling the game. However, thanks to support from Jacqueline Kennedy, who encouraged them to play, the game was moved from the scheduled date of November 30th, 1963 to December 7th, 1963, the 22nd anniversary of Pearl Harbor. 102,000 people watched the Army-Navy game that year in Municipal Stadium, later renamed John F. Kennedy Stadium. Heisman winner Roger Staubach led the midshipmen to a 21-15 victory over the Black Knights. It was in the 1964 meeting that Navy midshipman Calvin Huey became the first African American to play in the series. Throughout the 21st century, Navy had been dominant until the two met in Baltimore in 2016. Army, after failing to beat Navy since 2001, ended the 14-game losing streak with a 21-17 victory over the midshipmen. Army would also win the first overtime game in series history, a double overtime game in fact, 20-17. And like any great rivalry, it contains great traditions. This includes the beat Army and beat Navy phrases commonly used by the academies in the Army-Navy game and beyond. Another longtime tradition includes the pregame prisoner exchange, where the prisoners spend the semester studying at the rival academy, then before the game begins, rejoin with their fellow cadets or midshipmen. And who could forget about the uniforms, which are different every year as both Army and Navy honor their histories. Also before the game, both academies have members of their choirs sing the national anthem together. Then finally, to conclude the game, both teams sing their alma maters. To show unity and respect, the winning team joins the losing team as they face the losing team's students together. Then the losing team does the same thing for the winning team. The phrase "sing second" has become a popular way of expressing victory in the game, since the winning team's alma mater is always played second. It is a rivalry, but at the end of the day, they are allies, forever. They battle on the field, but then battle together off of it. America is reminded every December that college football and everything else we love about this country is only possible because of the sacrifices of the heroes who defend and protect the United States and its citizens, past, present, and future. So to all the veterans out there on this Veterans Day, thank you for your service.